Hey guys, White Warlock here. This is gonna be the third video on the red, blue, the queen item list. In this video, I'm gonna talk about every card in the deck, how they function, and a little bit on how they should be played. The first video on the queen and the items is definitely the most important, so if you haven't watched that one, please watch that one. I talk about the items in a lot of detail in that one, especially regarding the queen activations. So you should probably watch that one. And the second video on the gold fishing is also important, but this just gives you a little bit an overview of every card, and that one is more for when you actually play the deck against an opponent that leaves you alone. So I ordered the cards in a few piles. They represent every aspect of how this deck functions in a normal game. So I have 5 cards, which are 3 ice blocks and 2 fang crossbows, which function as attack reducing items. So cards have strength or attack, or if you want to call it, and we in red have cards that deal with those characters, but only if they have a certain amount of strength. And ice block and fang crossbow reduce those strength so we can kill more characters with more of our cards. So let's say a Tamatoa. If they have a Tamatoa, we cannot kill it with anything except for be prepared. However, if you have a Fang crossbow, you can kill it with Medusa. If you have Fang crossbow and item, you can kill it with Sisu or Brawl. And if we have like a Fang crossbow and 2 ice blocks, we can even kill it with a small Sisu. The Fang crossbow has another relevant text which says that if you can exert it and banish the Fang crossbow instead of just paying 2 ink to destroy a dragon character. This is very, very relevant in the red purple match. Why? Well, turn 3 Sisu after a turn 2 Flynn is often means that they will gain 3 lore from the Flynn and then quest for 2 with the Sisu, so gaining 5 lore. Let's say you had a turn 2 LeFou, which stops the Flynn activation itself, or let's say you were on a play and against LeFou against their Flynn you played the Queen, then you can deal with the Flynn activation on its own, but if they play a Sisu, you often have like 6 cards in hand, and the Sisu has 7 strength, and not even a Maui can beat that. However, the Fang Crossbow, you can just play this on 3, tap, banish, everything is gone. You've killed a character, you've stopped the Flynn activation. So it's a really, really, really good card in that matchup. In other matchups, it's most of the time just ink, or if you need it for activations from your Sisu and Mana Medusa triggers, you kind of want it from the Queen activation and not hard cast it. But sometimes you just have to hard cast it, and still it's an item, so it has its uses. So those 5 items facilitate this whole package. So this is the removal this is the removal package that we use. So first I will highlight these 5 cards. So Vitalosphere is not really seen as a removal card, but it kind of is. But it's not a removal for a character. It's more a removal for a location, namely castle. Even a Maui cannot one-shot a castle. So the Vitalosphere gives us the opportunity to deal 8 damage and instantly one-shot a castle so they do not draw cards and they don't get lore. Additionally, if you have a Tamatoa, you can play Tamatoa, get Vitalosphere back from the banish pile, use Vitalosphere on Tamatoa. Tamatoa has exactly 7 attack, and then because it gets rush from Vitalosphere, kill the castle, and most of the time they can't deal 8 damage back to the Tamatoa. The Tamatoa survives, and you win the game just from the value alone. So these 5 are like the attacking side of the removal, And then we have the whole package of spells, the 6 spells or actions, and the attack-based removal. So we have to be prepared. This is our board wipe in conjunction with the big Sisu. This is unconditional, it destroys everything, and it can be sung by a Sisu or a Tamatoa. Let's say you only have 6 ink and you have a Sisu in hand and a small Sisu on the board. You can shift and then sing. Be prepared. If you're really that desperate, obviously that's most of the time that is not worth it. Absolutely do not do this every time you can. But in some situations, let's say you're playing as hyper aggro, they have 0 cards in hand. Shift CISO kills doesn't kill everything, and you need to be prepared in order to basically lock out the game after that. Then it's worth it. You just have to do it. All right. So that's the be prepared. Then we have 4 brawl. This card is very, very, very broken. It's really good in this deck, and it just kills everything you need on turn 3 and even later. It kills Hiram in the mirror or against blue steel. It kills a lot of cards with Ice Block. It kills Diablo, which is where you need to run 4. You need to run 4 in every red deck unless it's red steel. But who the fuck plays red steel? So yeah, play 4 brawl. Very important, very good card, and it's inkable. Why? I don't know. Even if it was uninkable, you probably would have played at least 3. You would have shifted around the uninkables, obviously. This deck might not even be possible because that would be so many uninkables. But Brawl, very good card. Then we have the 2 Sisus. These are our, well, kind of prepared, but only for small boards. However, if we have multiple ice blocks or Fang, we might be able to kill everything or everything except for one, and then that one card won't have much problems. It can be shifted, but it doesn't have to. Otherwise, it quests for 3, so it's a reasonable dime target. I've had games where I went to 17 with my Tamatoa dime activation. They kill Tamatoa. I play Sisu, activate dime on Sisu, win the game. So it's good card, but it's uninkable. It's 8 cost. It's a little bit much, so I wouldn't play more than 2. You could maybe do 3 if you want to skim on items, but I would definitely not recommend doing that. 25 items is where you want to be, trust me. We have 3 Medusas. These are our primary removal cards. They kill almost everything, especially in this meta. And if they don't kill the things, we have the ice block and the crossbow to still kill the things. And then we play 3 small Sisu. It's for the shift, and it's because we play 3 ice blocks. Most normal red blue decks only play 2 ice blocks, or maybe even 1, or maybe even 0. Um, but probably at least most of the time they run 2. We run 3, so our Sisus become a little bit better, and we like the shift a little bit more, and it's just a good card. Yeah, it's just a good card, and we can fit it in our list with the uninkables. So why not play it? Uh, don't underestimate how much you can quest with this after you played this. A lot of decks do not play evasives, and when if they do, they don't really want to kill the Sisu. They don't really want to spend the time to kill the Sisu, because what if you have like a Vitalis Sphere plus the Sisu after that? So a Diablo is most of the time singing songs, and otherwise you just don't quest, obviously, against Diablo, but it can really quest for a lot sometimes, and that can help us go to the late game and get a earlier Tamatoa kill than normal. Alright, those are all the removal cards. Then we go to our 6 ramp pieces. So we have 4 fishbone quills. Always run 4. We do not run 3 or less. It's 4 fishbone quills. And then we run 2 Greystone Dragons. So Greystone Dragon is too situational in this deck to run 4 or even 3. I think it's too much because we don't play that many characters. Sometimes you just have games where you have 0 or only 1 character on the field, in the discard, and then you can activate it once, and after that it's just dead. So you just have to hire it. Um, Against every deck except for green steel, I would probably always ink this if I have this in hand. But it is a very nice queen target because it enters play exerted, but the queen enters the queen activation enters them exerted anyways, so that downside is just gone. So yeah, it's a nice ramp piece, but the fact that it puts the character card in the inkwell exerted and not unexerted like Fishbone Quill makes it so that we can only really run two in combination with the fact that we play less characters. Fishbone Quill is very good. You can make very nice combos from the Queen activations. You can make very nice combos with Maurice, which I will talk later, and a workshop. Um, yeah, it's just the good ramp card. We do not play One Jump Ahead or Mickey Mouse. Why? For two reasons. One Jump Ahead is a song. We only, as you've seen, we only play To Be Prepared, which are our only two songs in the deck. So one, like the 1/3 Ursula, is really bad against our deck. So running no One Jump Aheads makes us almost immune from that card. If they play that card, they wasted 2 ink on a 1/3 that we can just kill with a Sisu later on if we have the time. Um, we do not play Mickey because it's an inkable and we have a lot of inkables already, and because we need our dimes. And if we ever One Jump Ahead or Mickey our dimes, we lose the game immediately. Our whole deck is based on this. If we cannot do this, we do not win basically ever, unless your opponent breaks insanely hard and you can just quest with Queen or Hiram every time. But let's say that that never happens. I don't think I've ever won a game without winning the game with Tamatoa or Dime, or let's say Dime plus C2 if we've already Tamatoa'd once before. So don't play those cards, please, for your own sanity. If you want to play those cards, for some reason you have to play more than 2 dime, or you should just play normal red blue. To be honest, yeah, you should just play normal red blue, and at that point. But even normal red blue doesn't play Mickey, so or most of them don't at least. All right, let's talk about our main finishers. So we only have 6 cards that finish the game. Why? Because we draw a lot of cards, and these we can get from Scuttle and the Queen, and these we will just draw. Against almost every deck, except for I think Green Steel and Wheel decks, you basically never want to ink Tamatoa. Even in the late game, when you have like one Tamatoa in hand, maybe even two, and that's it. Most of the time I don't ink. I just want to try to play them and then just not inking because these are so important that if you don't draw the others, you just lose. Because you need to have these 6 cards. You want at least 1 dime in your game and at least 1 or 2 Tamatoas. This is how you win the game. This is the only way how you win the game. Just make sure you don't get rid of them. Also, good to note, don't ink a Lucky Dime with a Fishbone Quill. Just don't. Just take the L. Don't ink anything with. You don't have to ink every turn with Fishbone Quill. Sometimes you won't have enough cards in your hand. Uh, keep this. These are sacred. Think of them as your sacred cards. Don't touch them. Just keep them in your hand and then play to win. What I like to do is if I have double Tamato and I have like a dime and 2 dime activations would be enough. I would play Tamatoa, activate the dime on Tamatoa, and then hope that if your opponent cannot win, that they spend all their turn killing the Tamatoa, and then you can play the second Tamatoa and win the game that way. All right, that's our win condition. Then we have the Queen package and our draw engine. I'll talk about the Queen package very shortly because I made a whole video on it. But we have the 4 queens, which is our MVP. This is our most favorite turn 3 play. The other turn 3 plays are like Fishbone Quill or Great Dragon. They're fine, but the queen really makes this deck what it is. And then we have 3 shields and 3 LeFous. So the shield and LeFous are mainly for the queen, but you can always use them to untap a Maui or untap a Medusa to kill, to like double attack a castle or double attack a manor or like double attack characters. So that works. Or you can use a shield or LeFou to untap your Hyrems or your Maurice or any other card, let's say Sisu, to safely quest, right? Uh, you really kind of want like turn 3 queen and like a turn 1 or turn 2 shield or turn 4 like LeFou to be able to activate queen twice. LeFou is also included because it's a 2/2, and that's very relevant because red purple plays Flynn, and if they play on turn 2, let's say they are on the play, we are on the draw, they play turn 2 Flynn, and we have a turn 2 LeFou, that stops their Flynn trigger. If we have a turn 2 Scuttle, it does not stop their Flynn trigger, and they gain 3 free lore, and we want red purple to be as low as possible the whole game, so we do not have to worry about double castle or play goat, bounce goat, play goat, and those types of plays at the end of the game, so we lose Ren out of nowhere. Out of nowhere winning is our thing. This is our thing. So we will win with that, and we have to stop our opponents from winning through these kind of unfair ways, right? Now I will talk about the final package of our deck, which is drawing cards. So we have our favorite ice, the popsicle, very nice ice creams. We play this on turn 1 basically every time we can. In almost every turn, if you have free ink, we play this first and then play all other cards. This is just a very good card. It's the best Hiram target because it doesn't really do anything for us like the banish to remove up to 2 damage. A curse, very little. We don't have Smee or whatever. So basically the only time we really kill things and our things survive is with Maui, and yeah, using a popsicle to heal Maui can be good, but isn't always necessary. And remember that in this deck, you kind of want your items to stay on the field, so you have a like a higher threshold of winning the game immediately, right? So you need a lot of items to immediately win the game. If you're at 0 lore, you need 9 items for a quest plus dime or double dime activations with Tamatoa. So yeah, Popsicle is key in this deck. Then we play 3 Scuttle, we play 6 2-drops. You can also play 2 LeFou 4 Scuttle. This basically says whenever you play this character, draw an item card or draw a card. We have like a 90%, like 86 to 90% chance of hitting with Scuttle. Sometimes you have to take a dime, and most of the time you just take the best item you can. It's just a good 2-drop. You can also obviously play it on later turns if you want to search for a dime. So those are very nice. And then we have maybe the best overall card of the deck, the Hiram. It draws a shit ton of cards. They are very good. We have some little synergies with uh, Shield and LeFou to untap it to keep it safe from attacking. So that's very nice. And otherwise, it's fine if it dies immediately. It drew us 2 cards. Again, when you play Hiram, try to get the worst item possible to destroy. Let's say a Great Stone Dragon if you don't have characters in your banish pile, or try to you know get get like Ice Block if you already got 2, or get a shield if you already have 1. Um, but Popsicle is the best target because it does the least for us. And then we come to the final 5 cards, but I'll talk about the Maurice Workshop first. This card is probably our main draw engine most games. It's the best queen target in general. Sometimes it's Fishbone Quill, but most of the time it's Maurice Workshop. It really allows us to draw a lot of cards. Most of the time we will have like 1 or 2 free ink, after we played our turn, and if we had the Marie's Workshop, we could have drawn like 2 cards. So Popsicle with a Marie's Workshop just becomes a friends on the other side for 2, right? Because you play it, you draw a card, and then for 1 more you draw a card from Workshop. So that's very, very good. It's also very good with my last card and my newest inclusion to this deck, Maurice himself. So Maurice is a 6-cost 2/7, which quests for 2, which is relevant. And whenever you quest with it, you can pay 2 less for the next item you play that turn. So let's say you quest with Maurice, and then you can play a Maurice Workshop for only 1 ink, and then you can start storming off basically. Because the second line is the most important in this deck. It says whenever you play an item, you may draw a card. You do not need to pay ink like the workshop, you just draw a card. And that is really good. It's really underrated. I thought it was bad. I just tried to test it for the lols, for the memes. And it just turned out that this card is so insanely good against blue steel, and even in the mirror where your opponent has Brawl and Medusa that instantly kills it, it can draw so many cards after the turn on the turn you play it. You don't need to play this like against red decks. Most of the time, do not play this on turn 6. Let's say you play it on turn 8. You have a Maurice in hand. You have a Popsicle in hand. Let's say if you have a Shield in hand. You play the Maurice. You play a Popsicle. Draw 2 cards. Play a Shield. Draw a card. And then you basically play the Maurice to draw 2 cards and offer a threat that is really important for your opponent to deal with, because if Maurice lives 1 turn and it can quest, you can play a workshop for 1, or you can play a dime for 5, and that interaction actually matters a lot. It just makes dime so much better. It makes dime a 5 ink cost draw a card item, and that is insane for how good the dime actually is. So that's the draw engine. Those are all the cards that I play in this deck. There are obviously other cards you can play, and I will talk about that in a later video. Right now, just as a secret preview, I am testing Ariel's Grotto, which is the location. Let me grab it for you. I have it in very nice enchanted, lovely. It is a 2 ink location. It costs 2 to move there, but why the hell would you move here? Because it doesn't do anything. And it has 7 health, so it's like a castle. But it says whenever you have 3 or more items in play, the location like gets to lore. So normally the location does nothing, but it's inkable, so that's good. You can just ink it if it can't do anything. But it could be useful in situations where you have like 3 items on turn 1 and 2, and you have no 3-drop. You just basically play a manor / castle on turn 3, and then you probably gain against most matchup gain 4 lore just from the grotto, and maybe later in the game you can play it. I'm not quite sure if it's good, but we'll try it and see if it works. Other cards you could include are Triton, the one that kills items and gets 3 lore, which is a very good combination with LeFou and Shield, obviously. But it's uninkable, so it's a little bit tricky. You need to be a little bit less aggressive with the mulligan if you play cards like that. You could play Bell's House, which is the other location, where if you put a character in it, all your items become 1 cheaper. It's a little bit less. It's a little bit like Maurice, but instead of drawing, you get them for less ink. But to really work, you also need a workshop, and at that point, maybe you're already winning the game, right? So it might not work out well. That was the video. Thank you guys for watching. I will update you on the testing of the Ariel's Grotto and on other cards I might find in the future. Thank you guys for watching.